A few weeks ago on the channel, I stumbled across a mighty but small, flexible little post driver and rock breaker called THOR. I was mightily impressed by these machines, and I've travelled up to Newcastle and I've managed to meet the man who not only designed this machine but who sells it, Simon. Simon, how are you, mate?
G'day Tim, very well thanks mate.
As usual, when you dig into the story of a new product on the market, the story in itself is fascinating, and it all started here with One Stop Machinery Shop, and you can tell us a little bit about the development of this post driver and rock breaker and how it's taking on the world.
We sure can, mate. If you want to come inside, we can show you around the mechanical workshop that we started 40 years ago. And we can also show you some really big pile drivers, not just small post drivers. We have a huge range.
Fantastic. Let's go. I like big drivers.
Cheers, let's go.
So Simon, we're entering Aladdin's cave here, and what strikes me straight away is that you don't just do THOR Rock Breakers. You actually started out, and you've got a good name in the Hunter Valley area, for maintenance and repairs of hydraulics. In fact, you had the first Hi-Flex truck in Newcastle.
That's correct, we did. We built that business up as part of or an extra arm of our mechanical workshop. Yep. Because we wanted to be able to also do field service for hydraulic hoses, as well as the mechanical service as well. And
so you started to become a real point of service for people all across New South Wales with post drivers, rock breakers, pile drivers, really large industrial equipment, and you noticed some problems with that?
We have in the past with certain brands that have sort of inherent issues and they break down a bit, and the cost of repairing is very expensive, very frustrating for the customers.
So Simon, you get lots of machines into your work still for repair. This is a Rammer concrete pulverizer, I believe?
That's correct.
What size machine is this off?
This is on about a 28-tonne excavator.
And breaking up concrete and removing the reo from concrete slabs.
That's right, so they can separate the products to recycle them.
And there's a common problem with this, and that is the broken welds, isn't it? So you've got some dodgy welds here, and this is quite common with a lot of rammers, pulverisers, rock breakers. They start to tear themselves apart because they're generating enormous force, aren't they?
They are.
Can you tell me a little bit about why specifically these welds go on this type of machine?
These are MIG welded, and when they weld around the pipe to attach it to the fittings, they overlap at the end and they often get a bit of lamination there. That's a point of weakness sometimes. It shouldn't be. In original manufacturing, it should be perfect every time. Yep. We find regularly that it's not, and that's always the point where you get a little crack or a fissure. Next thing, the oil's coming out of it. We have to bring them in and grind it back, and then we TIG weld them up, and then we pressure test it with the unit behind us here to make sure it's all good before we put it back into the unit.
And so that's one of the things, repairing these for 40 years, that you've concentrated on improving when you actually came out with your own product, isn't it? So your welds are developed to the point where you believe that they're not going to crack under pressure.
That's right. Initially, I probably went a little bit light on some of our mounts and brackets and so on to do with our rock breakers and post drivers, but I beefed those up very quickly so that the mounting and all the componentry would outlast the actual power cell even. So you won't have failures with your casings and your pickups and all the associated components. So
Simon, this is one of your sort of smaller mid-range models, but it's got an interesting story. It's being used in, shall we say, a challenging environment. Tell me a little bit about that.
Extremely hot environment in around the slag chutes at Tomago Aluminium. It's designed to go in there with, as I said, there's really long chisels and knock the slag out and keep the chutes clear. And it's horrendously hot in there. This unit's been in service for a bit over 2 years now.
And what's wrong with it?
Just came in for a checkup. Veolia regularly they've got 6 of our rock breakers in there, and they regularly drop them in so that we can check them out to make sure they're not going to have failures, because they don't want to hammer failing or starting to lose oil, for argument's sake, if the seals did go.
Well, time is money on a shutdown,
that's
isn't
right.
it? They've got to get everything in and out.
Big customer. They've got to make sure everything's right.
Yeah.
So it's come back in for service, and we've done the check over. It might look a bit knocked about because it works in horrible conditions, but
I imagine it puts up with a fair bit of heat.
Oh yeah, huge amount of heat gets in it. Hence the paint all of it is quite faded and sort of burnt almost.
So that's a testament to how you've developed your welds and your machine and the guts and the internals of these things, that they can deal with quite challenging conditions and environments. Most people, when they think about driving a post and building a machine to drive a post, would start at the post. Mm-hmm. You started with the power cell because you've had a lot of experience rebuilding and repairing things, and you knew the power cell you wanted. Can you tell me a little bit about why this is so special?
Well, this is the SB power cell, and it's in dozens of brand name rock breakers, most notably the Korean brand of Susan. A really reliable power cell. It's been around for about 45 years or more. When I was repairing all the different brand rock breakers, the SB power cell was the one that didn't really fail as badly after a lot of use as other big brand names.
So bits failed around it, but the power cell itself didn't fail.
The power cell didn't fail.
You were telling me, Simon, off camera, that this is made out of the same steel that cannons are made out of.
In fact, all hydraulic rock breaker power cells, they're all made of what you would call cannon steel.
Yeah,
that's why it's so durable, and it can put up with the punishment that they take to break rock all day. It only has 3 moving components in it, including the tool. So the post tool or the chisel makes up one of those moving components.
And this is the guts of it.
And this little one here, that's the piston. That's the piston that's inside that power cell.
Yep.
So the hydraulics, they cycle the piston, but that's not what gives it the energy. What gives a power cell the energy is the nitrogen gas in the back head. This back head chamber, there's 16.5 bar of nitrogen gas in there. And when the hydraulics push the piston into the back head, it displaces the nitrogen gas, and that slingshots the piston back down. And that's why it's able to achieve such high speeds.
And how long does that nitrogen gas last before it's got to be replaced or maintained?
Contractors get 3+ years and maybe drive 10,000 posts or more before they even need to check the gas from new.
Fantastic. So what do you have to do to a power cell like this to maintain it, to keep all of these highly machined parts moving?
Make sure you've got clean hydraulic oil going through your machine, going
so
through
regularly
the unit.
change your hydraulic oil and filters?
Service your machine properly to the schedule that it should be serviced at. And the most important is grease the tool head. These generate a huge amount of heat in the tool head where the piston hits the anvil of the post tool or the rock breaking chisel, produces a whole lot of heat in there. So you've got to put the right grade of grease in there and keep it topped up regularly, so there's always grease there.
And you give people grease to get started with so that they can use the right grease and they know the grease to use, because it's high temperature, high impact work.
That's right.
So you need a heavy grease.
That's right, and that's exactly what it is. It's high impact, high energy, high heat grease.
So Simon, here we are at the finished product, and we've got different mounts on 2 of your rock breaking post drivers, and we've got 2 different variations. Can you talk us through a little bit about what unjacketed versus jacketed means?
The open jacket version here is got a strip back casing, and it makes it much lighter, so that in this instance it's set up to go on a Euro mount on a tractor, but this big one with 750 joules of impact, which is full contractor capacity, can fit down to a 2.5 tonne excavator.
So by stripping back the outer casing, you're not actually taking away from the strength of the machine, and you're enabling people with a small machine to have high-powered driver on their small machine.
Exactly. So a contractor with a little 2.5 tonne machine towing it behind a small truck can have 750 joules of impact.
So a full casing or a full jacket like this one here, this has got the same power. What's the advantage of encasing it completely?
When we go to the fully enclosed jacket, this comes across from the Rock Breakers directly. The fully enclosed jacket means that the power cell is not rigidly bolted into the casing. It has a cushion cell built inside the casing there, and it reduces the impact back to the machine, back to the operator, makes it more comfortable to operate. And of course, these are a combo. You can use this as a fully dedicated post driver in that mounting position, or mount an excavator mount on top, and you've got a dedicated rock breaker. And you get a chisel with every package as well as the post tool, so it's a full combo pack, I suppose.
And I've seen you've got a great little package here ready to go. You even give people a toolbox for their gear.
Yep, so it's plug and play basically. You buy that on a pallet, we wrap it up, send it to you. You don't need anything else to go post driving or using the rock breaking chisel.
Now you don't just stop at the drivers, you also machine and manufacture a whole range of post driving tools, don't you?
That's right, so there's a whole range of sizes and styles.
Now Simon, when you're driving posts, 2 things are really important: tightness and penetration. And you've got a tool for that. You've just developed a penetrator that you reckon's better than augering a hole.
Yeah, I would agree with that, especially if you're in particularly hard ground and rocky and boulder strewn ground.
Yep.
The 100mm hole maker is absolutely fantastic. It locks into the tool head like the post tool does.
Yep.
And you can drive a 100mm diameter hole about 800-900mm deep, and it's got a nice point on the end of it, so if you are in boulder strewn ground or fragmented rock, it'll just push it all out of the way, and it compacts the hole by pushing the earth out instead of pushing it down, so when you then drive the post in after, you've got a much tighter post. Being 100mm, it's also suitable for the 100MB pipe in bad rocky ground, because the 100MB pipe's about 117mm OD, so it still goes in solidly. It's not dropping into a hole that's loose, so you knock it in, and because the earth's been compressed out, the 100mm MB pipe will be really nice and tight in the hole as well.
So if you like a nice tight post, get yourself a penetrator. Now Lisa, you're the other part of the dynamic duo here with Simon. How are you?
Well, thank you.
It is a family company, and when people ring up, they're going to be speaking to you.
That's correct, yes.
And the moral of the story is bigger's not always best. Your rock breakers fit a lot of power in a small package.
Yeah, they do. And really what we've got to do is listen, ask the right questions and listen, so that we're ensuring that we're selling the correct sized product to suit the machine or the machinery that the customer has, but also really understand their application, the type of product they're looking at driving, the type of ground that they're in, and the type of work that they're going to be doing with it.
Well, I'm really excited by today's visit with you guys. It's a great family company with well-engineered product that makes things simple and strips back any unnecessary complications, and is bringing some new innovations to post-driving. So congratulations, Lisa.
Thank you.
It's fantastic, and thank you to you guys and THOR Rock Breakers for having me out today.
You're very welcome.
Guys, if you like this kind of content, don't forget, hit the little subscribe button, give it a thumbs up. There's plenty more on timthompson.ag. And if you want to get onto THOR Rock Breakers and Post Drivers, there's a link in the description.
It's not going anywhere. Like and subscribe to his channel thing.